So, let's get started. How to use the Feynman technique to learn faster. With example, writer Thomas Frank, last update 8 February 2017. There are quotes that's often attributed to Albert Einstein, which goes, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Whether or not Einstein himself actually said this, it's never been properly sourced, so it's likely he didn't. It's still an insightful observation. It's also one that yields a pretty powerful study tip when reversed. If you want to understand something well, try to explain it simply. By attempting to explain a concept in simple terms, you'll quickly see where you have a good understanding of that concept. You'll also be able to instantly point your problems areas, because there be the areas where you either get stuck or where you end up resorting to using complex language and technology. This is the idea behind the Feynman technique, named after the Nobel Prize winning physicist Richard Feynman, who in addition to being a brilliant scientist was also called the Great Explainer for his ability to relay complex ideas to others in simple, intuitive ways. The Feynman technique is a method for learning of reviving a concept quickly by explaining it in plain, simple language. In addition to helping you pinpoint those problems area on the concept you are trying to learn, to Feynman technique gives you a quick, efficient way to shore up those areas using targeting learning. It's simple technical, but it helps you study much more efficiently when you put into action. So, how do you actually use it? How to use the Feynman technique? Since the root of this technique involves explaining to concept, you could execute it in a number of ways, including literally grabbing a friend and explaining to them what you're learning. However, you don't always have willing friends at hand, so has the simpler method that just involves a sheet of paper. Step 1. Grab a sheet of paper and write the name of the concept at the top. You can use pretty much any concept or idea, even though the technique is named after Feynman. It's not limited solely to match and stance. Step 2. Explain the concept in your own words as if you were teaching it to someone else. Focus on using plain simple language. Don't limit your explanation to simple definition or a broad overview. Challenge yourself to work with an example or two as well to ensure you can put the concept into action. Step 3. Review explanations and identify the areas where you didn't know something, or when you feel your explanation is shaky. Once you are pinpointed, then go back to the source material you notice or any example you can find in order to shore up your understanding. Step 4. If there are any areas in your explanation where used lots of technical terms or complex language. Challenge yourself to rewrite those sections in simple terms. Make sure your explanation could be understood by someone without the knowledge base you believe you already have. That's it. Free example of the Feynman technical in action. As I mentioned earlier, simply defining a concept is only half the battle. If you want to explain it clearly, you have to apply it by working those examples. In the spirit of eating my own dog food, I've included the example of how you might use the Feynman technique below. Example 1. The Pythagorean Theorem. We'll start with a simple example. The Pythagorean Theorem shows how you can find the length of my right triangle hypotenuse. When I initially started writing this explanation, I simply wrote the concept at the top and added the formula. However, note how the final page has a couple of additions. A small picture showing what a right triangle is, and a round clarifying the nature of C in the formula. This way my attempt to go back and further simplify the explanation, even with basic mathematical theorem like this one. There are still assumptions and terms that encompass ideas that you may not be 100% clear on. Challenge yourself to identify those things and define them. Example 2. Bayes' theorem. Since the Pythagorean theorem is a pretty simple concept, I thought you might like to see an example using something more complex. Bayes' theorem, a concept use probability theory and statistic, fits the bill nicely. And here space working out a specific example and using the formula. This page do a decent job for explaining Bayes' theorem at a very broad level, but I'll be the first to admit that this is a topic that takes a good long while to truly grasp. In fact, I had to spend their hours reading those. A researcher, Eliezer Yadkovsky's 15,000 word explanation of the theorem before it clicked in my brain. So definitely check that article out if you're curious. You can also check out Arbital more recent guide, which is by Yapkovsky on admission much better and easier to follow. Example 3. The CSS box model. Here's an example of how the Feynman technique can be used to review a non-mathematical concept. The CSS box model is a tool for representing the size of HTML elements. The code then makes up web pages just like the one you're reading right now, as well as the spacing around them. I chose it as an example because it's a concept that took me a long time to grasp. Back when I started learning how to build websites as a teenager. To clarify that page general explanation, here's an example of an element with specific height which margin, padding, and border values. Writing in CSS code. In addition to writing the code out, I thought it would be extra helpful to show uh, exactly how each attribute affects the overall size of the elements. To a building web developer, it might not be immediately obvious that say a padding value of 10 px actually increases the elements width by 20 px overall, because the 10 px is applied to each side. If you happen to be curious about the box model and want to learn more, check out this guide. Think like a child of a final trip. While you are working through the final technique for any given concept, it can be useful to pretend that you are explaining that concept to a child. Doing this will boost your own understanding for one simple reason. In addition, asking things like, can I have another Oreo? And can I go watch Dragon Ball Z now, please? A kid is probably going to ask, why? While older people often become accustomed to talking things at face value, kids are naturally curious. They are quick to point out their confusion. If you teach a kind how to Pythagorean Theorem works and give him the formula for using it, there's a good chance he'll ask you, why does the formula work? How can you know it'll always work? Prove it, suka. And then you realize that the kind was actually Mr. T. In Discover and long, and now your life depends on being able to explain a geometry concept. How did you even get here? Seriously, though this is a great mindset to adopt. Maybe you don't know how the Pythagorean theorem works, and maybe you can easily draw out the proof by rearrangement. When it comes to other concepts though, it's likely that you're relying on assumptions, heuristic, and other black boxes when it comes to certain details. So adopt a childlike mindset and challenge yourself to clearly explain the whole concept. Once you do that and work it those all the steps, you can further refine your knowledge or whatever you are studying with other techniques, including creating flashcard, using spaces, repetition. Hope this helps. If you enable to the videos above, you can view it on YouTube. Looking for more study tips. If you enjoyed this article, you also enjoyed my free 100-page book called 10 Steps to Early Aviation Grades While Studying Class. The book offers tips like defeating procrastination, getting more out of your classes, talking great analysis, reading your textbooks more efficiently, and several more. It also has a lot of recommendations for tools and other resources that can make you studying easier. If you like a free copy of the book, let me know where I should send it. I also keep you updating about new posts and videos that come out on this blog. They'll be just as good as this one or better. Video notes. Scott Young video, well, I originally heard la 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 la. Thank you, watcher, my friend. Bye.